today's event, we were having a meeting the other day and going through some things that were challenging in the process, and I thought, well, why don't we just get everybody together and just talk through all this stuff? Because we got a whole lot of stuff going on right now. And in the top corner here, you can see, this is a map that I worked on with our GIS department, where the orange boxes are breaches, the blue boxes are other sorts of damages that we already know about. So as the water's receding, every day we get some new information from different levee districts, and as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on. That's just Rock Island District. You can see there's over 20 boxes there of different things, and I know that since we made this map a couple weeks ago, there's 4 or 5 new ones already too. So again, we really want to work with you to try to get as much info out to you as we can, and get you all moving on the right process. So facility logistics, they already went through that. He preempted my slide. He knew I was gonna, or I knew he was gonna do that. The other part is today we're also on a thing called YouTube Live. So people out watching online can see this presentation. They can ask questions. Jim and Sam over here, well, Sam ran off here, but Jim and Sam will be running that. Jim, is there anything we need to share with folks? Okay. I just want to make sure that we all knew that was available. So we may get a question from the internet while we're sitting here talking today as well. So, so again, welcome everyone. The goals that I had for our event today were to provide you the tools to help. We want to get the projects fixed before the next flood event comes along, if at all possible. We want to reduce the time and effort to complete these projects during this and future events. And then we want to get you some time to interact in person with some of the USAID staff. So as you submit a request letter in, you probably talk through the EM chain, you might talk to your flood area engineer. So I've served as a flood area engineer for the past 7-8 years. A couple of you guys know me. Elizabeth's in the back there. She's the new flood area engineer for the area that I was in. But I would like to kind of just, if you guys could, a few of you, stand up from the core and introduce yourselves, because each project is going to get assigned a project engineer, and so a bunch of the folks here are project engineers and project managers that will be working on these projects with you as the requests are submitted. So I just want to start with Ben back there. Just say hi and what your name and role, I guess, would be fine.
All right, I'm Ben Farrell. I'm a project manager with the Corps. So the idea is when you have a project, you get a project manager, you get a project engineer, and there's a team that comes along with it, and your project manager is your main point of contact. So if you're talking to real estate, if you're talking to engineers, and you have a question about who you should be going to and what the right answer is, come to your project manager. Sorry, I already beat you to it.
I'm Tara Gambon. I'm a project engineer in the civil and environmental engineering section. Nice to meet you all.
I am Andrew McClanahan, and I am also a project engineer in the environmental engineering section.
I'm Captain Gerwing. I'm a project manager.
Elizabeth Bruns, and I'm taking over the lead duties for the Peoria flood area.
I'm Carl Pike, Mississippi Valley Division, Vicksburg. I'm the 8499 Program Manager. When you, as local sponsors, working with the district, get a completed project information report. When it checks the boxes, I take it to our commanding general and get it approved. Once it is approved, then it's my job to go to headquarters and get the dollars to get your work actually done.
Good morning, I'm Erica Stevens, and I am going to be a project manager on some of these.
I'm Wendy Froelich. I'm in the environmental compliance branch.
I'm Kyle Arnera, I'm a project engineer with the Corps.
Julie Milholland, project manager.
Hi, I'm Diane Carnage, and I work in economics, and I do the benefit cost analysis for all these projects.
Okay, I guess I'll introduce myself so I'm more than just handing the mic around. I'm Jim Holman. I'm the program manager for all of the rehab. So all of these project managers will be the one to contact you on the day-to-day basis, but I run the program and I will coordinate with EM to make sure everything gets done.
All right, great. And I'm the technical manager, that's my additional position here. So I'm the chief of the civil and environmental engineering branch or section at the Corps. So Tara, Andrew, Kyle, they work in my department. So again, if you guys have, day-to-day issues, you're gonna be working with the project managers, the project engineers. If you have bigger systematic issues, complaints, etc., whatever the thing might be, Jim and I will be your kind of second level point of contact. So I'm not going to go through this. This is all the different stuff we're going to talk about today. We're going to start off with, again, just kind of welcoming everybody, a couple of just kind of basic things about the program, and then we'll go through our how to actually make the request if you haven't done it already. I know there's a couple of you here who haven't submitted a request. Some of you have, some of you are pretty far along in the process, so we'll go through that. We'll talk about the damage survey report and the project information report, which is what goes down to Carl there, down in division. We'll talk about borrow site selection and how to pay for it. We'll talk about permits and environmental considerations with Wendy. We will have a little bit of review and question and answer session, and then we'll take a break for lunch. After lunch, there will be a few new faces in here and maybe a few leaving faces that people are going about their day. And we'll go through our economics analysis, the review process, and things that we might look at for you for the review process. We'll talk through our real estate stuff, which is going to be a pretty heavy part of our afternoon. We'll do cost share agreements for non-federal systems, contracting and construction, and then lastly, one of the final things we do is we try to update O&M manuals after we're complete with the project. So, but again, we want you to ask questions and let us know if you have anything that you're concerned about. Sarah?
Can we just have the sponsors?
Oh, sorry.
identify who they are?
Yeah, sure, we can go around for the rest of you too.
I'm Tom Goss from the Big Island River Conservancy District.
Barb Waskich, Big Island River Conservancy District.
Matt Tolan with the City of Cedar Falls.
Josh Oxer with Greater Peoria Sanitary District.
Warren Wolf, Liverpool Drainage District.
Tim Camler, City of East Moline.
Tim Eisnall, I'm at the Cass County Highway Department, Illinois and Sangamon River merge right around me.
Yeah, one more in the back corner there too, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Pat Lynch with the City of Muscatine.
All right, so just the basics about your PDT that you'll be working. So a PDT is a project delivery team. Acronyms at the government, we love them. So if I say any acronyms today or anybody else does, please feel free to throw a hand up and say, hey, what the heck are you talking about? So our emergency management group, you'll probably, interact with Sarah or possibly Beth Crutcher in the back there. Beth does a lot of our funding and coordination stuff. Again, Jim and I are the technical and project manager, or technical and program managers. When things get to construction, we'll talk about this a lot more this afternoon, there's a very specific chain of command in a construction process, with the key being that the contractor, the sponsor, levy commissioners, and the project engineers that are in this room, when it's in a construction contract, will do all their coordination through the quality assurance representative or the COR. And then for your project team, your project manager will have things like cultural resources, economics, environmental analysis, and real estate kind of under their purview. Your engineering team might have hydraulics, geotechnical, structural, costs and specifications under their purview, depending on what sort of issues arise. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Beth here to talk a little bit about the rehab, starting the rehab request process.
Okay, so of course, the first thing that has to happen is that there has to be a flood or some event that's gonna damage your project. And then from there, you're gonna get a notice from USACE to say, hey, we've had a flood event, And now, we'd like you to take a good look at your levy system and then fill out our request form and send it in to us. So our notification to you is kind of the kickoff to that process. Once you get the rehab request form, you can fill it out. You can do it with pen and paper. You can do it electronically. And then you'll submit it to us. You'll want to do a full system inspection. So what we would like you to do is all of the damages to your system be identified on that rehab request. So just I really want to emphasize a full system inspection is done by you to request your rehab. And then you're going to submit that to the emergency management office. We take all of the requests. You can copy furnish your lead flood area engineer if you want to, but we'd really like you to submit it to us either by mail or over email. I have our email address here so that it gets our whole office. That way, if somebody's out of the office, someone else will get it and it'll keep moving through the process. It needs to be signed and dated by somebody that's on the levy commission board. It needs to be filled in completely, so we want to make sure that you have locations of all the damage using some kind of identifier such as river mile. If you have a GPS location, you can use that, but we want to have all the damages identified, including their location. You can include photos of the damages that you identify. This is important because then when we come to do our damage survey inspection, we will compare what you have sent us to what we see in the field. And we'll take our own pictures and stuff, so that's all real key. And then that form is also available on the internet. If you don't want to fill it out by hand with a pen, you can get on that website and grab it. Any questions?
One question, what about excessive pumping costs above normal?
Yeah, so we are not involved in the cost of the flood fight, which would be what that would be included as. Yeah, but clearly document like the condition of your pump before the flood, so that if there is damage to it from the flood, then you have record of that, and that can be included in your rehab request. Yep, they are, as long as we can clearly tie that they were caused by that flood event, which is why that pre-flood inspection and your record of that would be real key to that.
You get 30 days from the painful condition.
Just a second, we want to make sure that the folks on the online part can hear this stuff too, so we're going to give you the mic here, sorry.
So timing wise, you're saying 30 days from the bank full at the closest gauge.
Right.
Is there a set bank full elevation somewhere that we can?
Well, it would be like the National Weather Service's definition of flood stage.
Okay.
You could use that.
You could, okay, perfect.
And we've had floods on like really small creeks that don't have, a formal flood stage too, so that's why it says closest gauge. So if your creek had, some of the tiebacks, for example, go up some, small creek or something like that, and there might not be a flood gauge on it. So then we're kind of looking at, well, were there floods around there, or, can you show that it was out of its banks and causing issues? And there's, a little wiggle room, but the big thing we look at is the National Weather Service, what's the flood stage? Yes or no, up and down from there.
That's what it returns back to.
All right. So these next 4 slides have a ton of text on them. I'm not going to read through every single one of these. This is for you guys to take a look at later. It's all in your packets there. For those online, we can get you a copy of the packet as well. So what is covered? So there is this engineering regulation, as with all good Corps of Engineers things, ER 500-1-1. You can do a Google for that and find it online, and you can read through all the stuff. So what's covered? The big thing, PL 8499, often is kind of referred to as sort of like a levy insurance program. So we put back what was there before the flood. So there are a couple of little nuances to that. For example, they say, there's some things that don't make it a betterment, you know, like say there's a new type of geomembrane or something, that's the current state of the technology, and oh, that's wonderful pop-up here, excuse me. And it's cheaper to do the newest technology than it would be to put back exactly what was there. There's a little bit of wiggle room in that, but the thing is, we're looking for that lowest cost, best solution that puts back things the way they were before we started. There's some damage from other than floods and coastal storms. That's something that's got to go up to headquarters for a review there. If you've got channels that the Corps designed, if it fills up from that flood event, again, you kind of have to have a pre-inspection and a post-inspection that showed 25% of the channel was filled up during the flood event. There's a possibility that we could request money to dig that channel out. And then again, if all your grass gets killed, there's a way we can look at trying to help get that vegetation growing back again. Things that aren't covered, if your system's inactive currently in PLE 499, we unfortunately can't help. If the damages are less than $15,000, we unfortunately can't help. That's considered general maintenance. And then when we do the benefit cost ratio, if it's below 1, we won't be able to help with those costs below 1 as well. So, and Diane will talk about that a little bit more after lunch. Various other things, again, channel alignment, navigation, recreation, fish and wildlife stuff. Those things we're not going to be looking at repairing. We're after flood control projects that are in the PLE 499 program specifically. Again, this is all text straight out of that engineering regulation. Bank protection, there's a couple of caveats there. Things that weren't maintained correctly or deficient in deferred maintenance. So sometimes when we do the fall levee inspections, there'll be a section that's eroded, and we'll have written that down. And I'll say that it breached out at that same location. We might be able to come in and help repair that breach, but the portion of it that was already pre-damaged, we won't be able to pay for those repairs. That'll be something that you'll have to do on your own, because that was a pre-existing condition. So again, we can put back what's changed during the flood to the way it was before the flood, but we can't fix those things that were already damaged before it started. So just for reference there. Design and construction deficiencies, we can't cover that. Alternative plans, every once in a while too, we'll be asked to look at like a levee setback. So if you have a huge scour hole, we might talk about doing like a setback around the levee. So we've got to do some benefit cost ratio stuff on that, just check and make sure that, you know, going straight across, filling in the hole, or going around it, what's the cheapest, best option for the government. Deliberate levee cuts, so sometimes during a big flood, someone will purposely cut the levee to prevent further damages, you know, to make sure that it goes in and out of the downstream, or to try to drain stuff faster. There's this 4.3H, that's something you can read through. There's some rules and regulations about how that works. It has to be coordinated with the Corps of Engineers before anything like that happens. Military installations, I don't think that's going to affect anybody here. Modifications, you know, we're not going to modify anything to change how it was done. We're not going to do betterments. However, the sponsor can pay for betterments through their own money if they want to do it voluntarily. So, you know, we got a contractor on site. If you want to hire that contractor to do work through the process, that's okay. We just can't pay for any of that. And then dewatering is the other one, unless it's actually part of the process that we need to do to get the work done. So the first thing after the request letter's in is we're going to have a DSR. And so we want to try to get our site visits scheduled within a week of receiving our request letters when at all possible. So I've got a team, Andrew, Tara, Steve Gustafson, who's not here right now. They've been kind of assigned to take these DSRs right away and try to get out into the field as soon as they can. So we had some breaches a few weeks back. We actually sent a team in an airboat down right away to try to like zip around into some of those hard to get places and try to get some good breach measurements right away so we can get that process moving as fast as possible. They're going to take basic measurements and they're going to walk the site with you. Again, per what Beth said earlier, you're going to define the areas that we inspect. So you're going to inspect your levee, you're gonna tell us what you want us to look at, and then through the DSR inspection, we're gonna come out and we're going to look at those areas. So it's not gonna be like your fall levee inspection, we're not gonna start at one end, slowly drive around and check all the points. You're gonna tell us, hey, there's a breach here, there's some scouring here, there's whatever pump station has this issue over there, and we'll go with you to those specific locations that you've identified. We'll do some measurements, we'll take some pictures, we'll mark all that down. The point of the DSR is to try to figure out, is this over or under $15,000? And is the damage caused by flooding? So if it's under $15,000, that's gonna be your, the levy sponsor's responsibility to prepare those things. And then if it's not caused by flooding, so say it was, everybody was driving up and down the levee too many times during a flood fight and you caused some sort of damage, nasty rutting or something like that, that's gonna be, again, sort of a maintenance issue. The DSR will get submitted to division for a funding request if it's over $15,000. We'll notify you when the DSR is complete and if we got the PIR funding. If they're not approved, so if we can't do this, then those damages that were identified, we expect to see those repaired by the sponsor before the next inspection to maintain that eligibility. So, or like some active work to try to do those repairs.
Can you, DSR and PIR?
Sorry, damage survey report, DSR, project information report, PIR. See, I gotta change my slides already. Get into these acronyms so easily. And the one nice thing here is that the damage survey report, the project information report, this process is 100% federally funded for the federal and the non-federal system. So we'll come out, we'll do these inspections, we'll do this analysis at federal cost. Here's kind of just a little bit of a map through there. So if your DSR is over $15,000, we'll request money for the PIRs, the PL 8499 process continues. That's when you probably want to start identifying borrow areas, preparing your, to do the signature of the CA cooperation agreement. If the DSR is under $15,000, that's when you will start doing the repairs and the PL 8499 process is complete at that point. So that's DSR. Questions on DSR before we go on? Okay. So the next thing, project information reports. So, environmental engineering section, civil environmental engineering section, or a project engineering section, ECDN and ECDM. The project engineer will get assigned for the PIR, and we'll be looking at things like a benefit cost ratio. We might do a survey to try to verify some quantities and get our design calculations moving forward. We'll be identifying basic elements of the project, such as the authority that the project was constructed under, some design criteria that was used for the original design of the project, and then we'll start comparing alternatives. So this is a key thing. All federal projects go through the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. Did I say that right, Wendy? Yep. Policy Act, right. Structural alternative. This is kind of the standard repair option that I think everybody thinks of when they think of PL 8499. There's also a non-structural alternative. We have done this with a couple of levee systems. Basically, they said, you know what, we've been flooded out Sonar many times. We don't want to deal with this again. And so they might choose to do some buyouts, do some flood proofing of buildings, elevating buildings, wetland restoration, stuff like that. So we always have to look at alternatives, and then with all NEPA things, there's a no action alternative. So we will ask you through this process, are you interested in the non-structural alternative? Are you interested in the no action alternative? Again, I think we've had two that I'm aware of that have gone through that process for the non-structural, but again, that is a possibility that's out there. So we can, if you have questions about that, we can get you in touch with folks that can go through that with you. Otherwise, you can select the structural repair alternative, and we will work on doing those repairs to the levee system. So the PIR, again, we're gonna have a site visit, we're gonna have an inspection with the sponsor again, perhaps get a few more people out there to look at things. We're probably gonna be looking at borrow sites, things like that. The economics, the NEPA, the engineering analysis is gonna be completed. The big thing with this one is the benefit cost ratio greater than 1. If it is, we're gonna request funds from the division, it's gonna go down to Carl. The PLD 499 process is going to continue. So that's, at that point, we're gonna be looking for our cooperation agreement approval, we're gonna look for real estate rights. If the benefit cost ratio is less than 1, when we find that out, we're gonna tell you, and then it's gonna be back on you to complete the repairs to those damages, and the PLD 499 process is complete. Another thing that might come up too, right now it hasn't, but the last time we had a really big event like this in 2008, there was an interagency levy task force, like in the state of Illinois. They might also review your project, so that's a multiple state federal agency organization that is requested from headquarters. We'll be working on cost estimates and schedules. This is actually a printout of one of the schedules that would be in a standard PIR that you might see. We will, again, send stuff down to division, and then, like I said, we'll request funding. So if we have an interagency levy task force, this is the kind of things that they'll be looking for. So reducing flood damages to yourself as well as upstream and downstream localities, lower long-term costs to the taxpayer, improving the environment, assisting public-private landowners with conservation objectives, addressing flood damage, looking at more systematic issues. Currently, that's not a thing right now, but I just want you to be aware that that's a possibility that's out there should it appear, especially with the large nature of the stuff that we have. That's the very basics of project information reports. Questions? So those are kind of the two big initial steps that you're going to work with the Corps on when we start going through this process. So damage survey report, writing all this stuff up, doing the analysis, making sure that the project pans out. So it's kind of like a reconnaissance and a feasibility study on a very tightened schedule for how the Corps normally does business. Say all has gone well to this point, one of the next things we're going to do right away is try to start looking for a borrow site. I highlighted this top part red because this is a thing that I feel like when I go talk to people on repairs is sort of a surprise for folks who haven't done this before. The sponsor must provide without cost to the government all lands, easements, rights-of-ways, relocation, and borrow, and dredged or excavated disposal areas necessary for the work. So, when you got a breach in your levee and we want to fill it in with clay, you've got to give us the clay at no cost. We can dig the clay, we can haul the clay, we can place the clay, we can compact the clay at federal cost, but we can't buy it from the farmer, from the commercial source, from wherever it's coming from. So if you've got a field over there that you've got some good clay in, and that's what we want to fix the levee with, but that farmer wants $2 a cubic yard to buy that clay and move, to take it from him, the levee sponsor is responsible for that $2 per cubic yard, just as an example. So I think sometimes when I've worked on projects like this, that's been sort of a surprise for people. So I want to make sure everybody knows that one. Pre-existing borrow sites or commercial borrow sites might have lesser immediate requirements. So for NEPA, they might have already gone through the process. That might save some time and hassle when you're trying to get things to go faster. If you say, hey, let's use that field over there, and nobody's ever dug over there for clay before, we're probably going to have an archaeologist come look at it. We're going to have our environmental folks look at it. There might be some other things that have to be looked at, which Wendy will cover here in a little bit as well too. But just be aware that the more previously used, the more commercial, the more pre-approved stuff that we can have throughout the process, the faster the process can potentially go. Other things, you know, usually we have some coordination with the NRCS through this process, so they might ask about, is there any CRP, is there prime farmland, are there wetlands? We want to avoid all this stuff if at all possible, so, you know, one of the things that we hear a lot with the environmental regulations is we want to avoid it, and then if we can't avoid it, we want to minimize it, and then if we can't minimize it, we have to mitigate for it. So again, the closer we stay to avoid, the faster we can move, is one of the kind of things. And then soil type. So clay is going to be preferred for many levee situations, especially like most people's tiebacks are clay. Some large breach repairs, some of the larger Illinois and Mississippi River levees are very, very much sand built as well. Breaches or berms and seepage mitigation kind of things also will very likely have some sand components to them as well. If we do have to have NRCS coordination for a borrow site, 9 times out of 10, the sponsor has to request that from the county NRCS official, so it's not my land, I can't request that. Can't put my hand there to the microphone. So the sponsor has to request that because it's their property. There might be some delineations required, Wendy will talk through that. But one of the key things, and I'm going to go through this a little bit, there's a thing called has anybody used web soil survey before? Okay, I see a couple of hands there. So this is a really great tool that's out there. As I was talking through this with our geotechnical department, there was actually one of the guys down there was one of the folks who helped develop this website originally at his previous job. So that's the website right there. You can go online. It looks like this. You draw out, see if I can do the name. Right there, there's these 2 little boxes that say AOI, Area of Interest. So you draw out your area of interest, perhaps over your entire levee district. This is the Seymour Levee District, I just used it as an example. And then you will select on the tabs up here, Soil Data Explorer, Soil Reports, Soil Physical Properties, Engineering Properties, and then View Soil Report. There you can see this is all the different types of soil mapped out on those fields out there. Go to the next page, and you scroll to the bottom, and it shows me all this information. So when I talked to our geotechnical guys, they said the best kind of clay we can get is an SC or a CL. So you can go check your properties right now within your levee district, and you can find out where the SC and the CL soils are. OK clay, SM, ML, CH. You can see there's an ML, an ML, a CH right there, so you can see there's some OK clays there. If you're going for sand, you want an SW or an SP, and you never want any of these guys here. So G's are gravels, O's are organics, P's peat. So when I look at this write-up about this particular soil here, I can see that the top 4 inches, material is okay, which is typical, that's usually where your organic soils are. We generally strip the top 6 to 12 inches off.